On the 2nd of December 2001, the Enron Corporation filed for bankruptcy protection in a federal court in New York. At the time, the largest corporate bankruptcy in American history. 20,000 people lost their jobs that morning, and many of them lost something else as well, something that had taken decades to build, and that no court proceeding, no restitution fund, and no act of Congress would ever fully return to them. Their retirement savings, gone not because the market had turned against them, not because of bad luck or a global recession or forces beyond anyone's control, but because the people running Enron, the people they had trusted, the people the financial press had celebrated for years as visionaries, had been lying, and had been doing so systematically, deliberately, and for a very long time, successfully. This is the story of how one of the most admired companies in the world turned out to be one of the most fraudulent, a story about ambition, and about what ambition looks like when it is no longer tethered to anything real. And it begins, as so many of these stories do, not with a conspiracy, but with an idea. To understand how Enron died, you first need to understand what it was. Kenneth Lay founded Enron in 1985. He understood Washington. He understood how regulation worked and how to undo it. In 1990, Lay hired Jeffrey Skilling. Skilling had graduated top of his class at Harvard Business School. He thought about business the way chess players think about the board, several moves ahead at all times. By the year 2000, Enron had $101 billion in revenues. Fortune magazine named them the most innovative company in America for 6 consecutive years. Skilling had implemented rank and yank. Every 6 months, the bottom 15% of employees were fired. Not managed out. Fired. The culture had a name inside the building. They called themselves the smartest guys in the room. Wall Street analysts called them untouchable. Their executives were celebrated as geniuses, and every single piece of it was built on a lie. The fraud did not begin as fraud. It began as a question of accounting. In 1991, Jeffrey Skilling approached the SEC with a proposal. He wanted Enron to be allowed to book the estimated future profits of a contract the moment it was signed. The SEC approved it in 1992. In the mid-1990s, Enron's CFO Andrew Fastow began constructing the mechanism that would eventually destroy the company. His genius was for complexity, building structures so intricate that almost no one could follow what was happening inside them. He created special purpose entities, shell companies. When Enron made a bad investment, the loss would be transferred to one of these entities. The balance sheet looked clean. By the end of 2000, Fastow had personally extracted $45 million from the partnerships he was managing. Enron's own board had to formally waive its code of conduct to allow it. The board approved the waiver. Their auditors at Arthur Andersen signed off on all of it. Andersen had $52 million in annual fees from Enron. The institutional boundary between auditor and client had effectively dissolved. There were people inside Enron who saw what was happening. In August 2001, Vice President Sherron Watkins wrote a 7-page memo to CEO Kenneth Lay. It was specific. It named the partnerships. It described the accounting. In her words, Enron would implode in a wave of accounting scandals. Kenneth Lay passed the memo to Enron's outside lawyers. The lawyers concluded there was no problem. The memo was filed. Enron continued operating for exactly 73 more days. Months earlier, on a recorded investor call, an analyst had asked why Enron did not publish a detailed cash flow statement. Jeffrey Skilling told him he was an asshole. When a company attacks an analyst for asking about cash flow, the answer is already visible.